Okay, we're going to discuss tonight the order of brachos. The order of brachos means two things. We're going to discuss, first of all, if you have two different items in front of you, which bracha should go first. And second of all, if you have two different items in front of you, which, if in the same bracha, which one should you hold to make the bracha on that and exempt the rest? That's the subject tonight. And there's a lot of details. There are even scenarios where the rules go against each other, as we shall see. And it could be a riddle where it's impossible for one to go before the other. But in general, there's very, very simple rules that we could follow in most of the time. And then there are some more practical, the more detailed things that we'll have to leave for another time. Okay. Let's say you're only interested in eating one item. If you're only interested in eating one item, that's the item you make a bracha on, and that's it. You know, even though on the table there might be something else which is more important, which is better, but you're not interested in eating that. You don't have to eat anything extra in order to fulfill this idea of kedima b'brachos. If you're only interested in one particular item on the table, you don't have any obligation to eat anything else. No obligation to go out and actively eat something else in order to say a bracha on something more important. So if you have, let's say, grapes from Eretz Yisrael and you have apples, we'll see soon how that works exactly, what goes first. But in general, grapes go first. In general, we'll see soon, not so simple. But you're not interested in grapes, you want only apples. You have no obligation to go and make a bracha on the grape just in order to make a bracha on the more important one. It's not more muhadar. No. If you only want to eat a bracha, make a bracha on one. You only eat one. You don't have to go out and make a bracha on something else in order to make a bracha on something more important. Okay. So with bread, let's say, you have two types of bread. In general, there are 5 kinds of grain, and the 5 kinds of grain, they have precedence in their importance. The order is, the most important grain is wheat, then barley, then spelt, then spelt, then oatmeal, and then rye. That's the order of the 5 kinds of grain. So in general, that's the way that you would figure out which one should you say the bracha on. You have they're both bread, they're both hamaitzi. So you would make the order on the more, you make the bracha on the more important one, which would be all 5 hamaitzi. Having bread made, any 5 of them can be made into a bread which is hamaitzi. So the order you would look at is what is it made out of? Is it made out of wheat? Is it made out of barley? And that's how you would figure it out. But that doesn't always work that way. What if you have a piece of bread that's wheat, and you have a whole bread that's made out of oatmeal? So what goes first? So the halacha is that a piece of wheat bread goes before a whole loaf of any other kind of bread. However, a Yireh Shamayim, someone who wants to do things right, the best thing is, Alter Rebbe says, is put the piece of wheat bread next to the barley bread, make a bracha on both of them together, and eat simultaneously, like the Seder, right? Eat both pieces of matzah simultaneously. Eat simultaneously a piece, and actually, halachically, you're not allowed to put into your mouth something which is larger than 2 ounces. Not considered derech eretz, not considered the normal thing to do. So take a piece, like the whole concept of a sandwich is an American concept that halacha doesn't subscribe to. You can't pick up a sandwich. You have to break it up into pieces and make it all annoying and everything. It cannot be like an Israeli. Or an Israeli, or even a piece of pizza. A piece of pizza is bigger than 2 ounces. It's not so simple. Right? It's a cut it, yeah. Pizza is not much bigger than 2 ounces. But it's bigger than 2 ounces. So you can't put the whole thing in your mouth, it seems. You could rip it up into pieces, and I need it. Anyways, getting back to our subject. So you would take a...
You're not allowed to put the whole 2 ounces at once, or even to bite off of the 2 ounces?
That's the bite off of 2 ounces. You're supposed to break it up and eat, so you're not eating out of 2 ounces. Even a peach is more than 2 ounces. You have to break it up. Okay. So in this scenario where you have wheat and you have barley and it's a piece of wheat bread and there's a whole loaf of, usually we could say a whole has precedence, but here the wheat is earlier on the Torah when it says the 7 species in Eretz Yisrael is praised with, it says wheat before barley, and therefore wheat should go before barley. However, here's a piece of wheat and a whole barley. So halacha is wheat goes first, but the Yerushalayim Alter says we'll eat them together, the same, like the bracha, both of them together. What about, in general, if you like one better than the other? If you like the barley better than the wheat, you like the oatmeal better than the barley, so what do you do then?
What about white challah or whole wheat challah?
Okay, so we'll get to whole wheat in a second. Whole wheat is complicated because it used to be, the process of whole wheat used to be, it was harder to chew whole wheat because the way whole wheat was made. So whole wheat used to be considered a lesser grain. But now it's considered coarse and harder to chew. But now it's easy, it's processed differently, it's easy to chew, and it's considered healthier and better. So therefore, it does play a factor when we'll get into that, when you want to ask which flour is better, whole wheat or regular flour, within wheat itself. But before you get to that subject, you have 2 items, 2 breads in front of you. Your first question is going to be, which one do you like more? If you like one more than the other, so then you have an option, whatever bread you want to make a bracha on for, if you like the other one. Unless the one you like more is a piece and the other one is a whole. If one's a piece and one's a whole.
You're using the word whole, meaning what? The whole kikar? They're just supposed to have it sliced in the first place.
Okay, when you make a bracha, you're supposed to cut it. It's supposed to be whole when you make the bracha, and then you cut it in order to eat it. But the bracha itself should be on its whole. Rabbi Reichik told me, I don't know where he got this from exactly, but he's like, for example, I saw him once eating an orange, not an orange, an apple, and he made the bracha while he was cutting the apple. So the Alter says that you're supposed to make a bracha on something while it's whole, and then you're supposed to cut it. And the Alter says not considered a interruption between the bracha and eating it, because you're supposed to make a bracha on it when it's whole. And therefore, cutting it is not considered interruption. However, he was of the opinion that, okay, it's not interruption, but he should still apparently go as fast as possible. And therefore, while he made the bracha, he cut it.
So for Shabbos, it's more chashuv to have the white challah.
Is it more important, better to have white challah?
White challah than whole wheat challah.
Black male was cheap man, poor man. Regarding this,
Give me 1 minute. I'll get through the woods of the wheat and barley for a second, because I want to make sure I say this correctly because it's very complicated. Okay, if you like one more than the other, then you don't have to go by the order of grains. The order of grains only matters if you like them the same. If you like one more than the other, there's an argument. There's an argument. Do whatever you want. If you like the oatmeal more than the wheat, so there's an argument. Therefore, do whatever you want. But if it's the same kind, if they're both made out of wheat, then the whole goes before the lesser one. Then a whole goes before a piece. A whole goes before a piece. And we said earlier, if you like them the same, so then a piece of a piece of wheat bread goes before a whole loaf of barley bread. But that's a unique thing only with wheat and not by the other 4 species. And the reason is because the Torah specifically mentions wheat and barley. Since the Torah mentions specifically wheat and barley, the other ones are derivatives of wheat and barley. Spelt is a derivative of wheat, and rye is a derivative of barley. So when we say that that you have to, that a Yerushalayim, when he has a piece of wheat and a whole loaf of barley, he's supposed to eat them together. That's specifically when it's barley. But if it would be spelt or be oatmeal, then the Torah doesn't mention them specifically. You would go straight to the wheat. Understand? The barley is significant because barley Torah mentions. Other ones are just derivative of the wheat. Derivatives of barley not considered as important.
Even if they're whole, you still go to the slice.
Even if they're whole, you still go to the slice. Right. Now, if they are all in front of you and you have a whole and a piece, you make a bracha on the whole again. What if the piece is tastier? What if the piece is a better kind of flour? In the wheat itself, let's say whole wheat is better. Nowadays, they say whole wheat is better. So if whole wheat is better, and you have a whole wheat piece of bread, and you have a whole, you have a kiddush roll, a kiddush roll, and you have a wonderful pumpkin, a wheat a piece of bread, the whole goes before, even though the piece is not as good, and even though the piece is not as clean, kind of clean flour, doesn't matter. The whole takes precedence. Okay, what do you want to ask before?
Even if the slice is better.
Even if the slice is better,
Right.
you go. The whole takes precedence. You make a bracha on the whole one. Yes, David. So what do you want to ask before?
The story of Rabbi Reichik, there was also a story that his brother Avi said with regard to Shabbos after Kiddush, right away to eat Hametzi.
Yeah.
That his father, Rabbi, the senior Rabbi Reichik also, would make Kiddush, wash immediately. He wouldn't even wait for his wife. Right away to make
Hametzi.
Not to have any hefsek.
Not having any separation between the kiddush and the suda. Very interesting. Okay. I want you more point. What if they're both pieces? They're both pieces. They're both wheat, and you like them the same. You can't ask about. So the first question is which one do you like better. The second question you ask is it wheat or is it barley? Then you ask a question: is it whole or is it sliced? So you discover that if they're both wheat and they're both sliced, what do you do first? The answer is you go by the bigger piece. The bigger piece is the last question you ask. Guys, Rebel.
What's pumpernickel?
I don't know. Okay. Anyone, you know pumpernickels? I know pumpernickels. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, in mezainis itself, how do you know which? We just till now we're discussing bread.
I thought you said it was simple.
What I mean it's simple is there's not so many opinions. I mean it's not so many opinions. We're going to see some scenarios where the laws go against each other and you can't. There's a riddle you can't make one before the other. It's like those Mensa riddles. Anyways, so if you have mezainis, which mezainis is considered the most important mezainis? Halacha is if you have the same type, it's all wheat. So it's important mezainis is whatever could be hametzi. If it's possible for it to turn to hametzi, if you eat enough of it, then that's a mezainis, which is the one you should make the bracha on. If it's able to become hametzi, so it's like a baked item, a cooked item never becomes hametzi. Your noodles, no matter how much noodles you eat, don't turn on to hametzi. But a baked item could become hametzi. So if it could become hametzi, that's the number one question you ask. Then you ask, well, which one do you like better? If you like one of them better, you could make that. You could make a bracha on that one. One thing I want to mention, which I didn't mention before, is that when you have a bunch of foods, there are rules. Let's say hametzi, of course, trumps everything. That's we discussed lots of hametzi first because hametzi goes before everything. However, there's a scenario where you're allowed to make a bracha before you make hametzi. In general, we say hametzi goes before. But let's say you want to eat something specifically before your meal. You want to eat, let's say, an appetizer. You don't have to make hametzi first before you eat the appetizer. You're allowed to make a bracha eitz before you make a bracha hametzi in order to yeah. What you discover what pumpernickel is?
It's a rye and wheat.
It's a mixture.
Dark white flour, 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 quart.
But it's mainly rye and
1/4 cup of wheat flour.
Okay. So the first question is, can it become a meitzi? If it cannot become a meitzi, it's in a whole different category. So, for example, an oatmeal muffin goes before noodles. Oatmeal muffin goes before spaghetti. You have an oatmeal muffin, you have spaghetti. The bracha you should make is on the oatmeal muffin, because the oatmeal muffin is something which could become a meitzi, meaning a baked good goes before a tavshil. A mafe goes before a tavshil. A tavshil can never become a meitzi. A mafe something which is baked could become a meitzi. And therefore, even though it's made from a lesser kind of grain, it's made out of barley, it's made out of oatmeal, but since it could become a meitzi, it takes precedence over something which is made out of wheat, which can never become a meitzi, like noodles.
Noodles cannot be.
A meitzi. Now, if they're both baked and they're both made out of wheat, you go by which is better flour. And then you would ask, is it whole wheat, not whole wheat? And if they're both whole wheat, then you would ask which one is bigger. That was the last question you would ask. Then you make a bracha on the one that's bigger if they're the same level of flour. If they're not the same level of flour, you go with the one which has better flour. Okay. So practically, you could have a mezenis oatmeal muffin, and you could have a cheesecake made out of wheat. Which bracha would you make on? Anybody? Mezenis oatmeal muffin and a cheesecake. What bracha are you going to say on? Muffin, and you have a cheesecake. You put them both. Which one should you say bracha on? The cheesecake made out of wheat or the oatmeal muffin made out of oatmeal?
Cheesecake made of wheat?
You say cheesecake made out of wheat. Well, the cheesecake will never.
Cheesecake is
Yes.
Cheesecake made
Huh?
Muffin, because it's a whole piece, a whole thing of.
Well, let's say the whole cheesecake.
But the cheesecake has it's like a little thin crust, it's a little bit,
What's chaviv?
So, oh, that's a good question. Very good. Which one do you like more? That's an important question to ask. But that's not the most important question of Yitzchak. Before you ask what's chaviv, you ask what could become a meitzi. The cheesecake cannot become a meitzi. The cheesecake is a meitzi according to all opinions. And since the cheesecake can never become a meitzi, therefore the item which was baked, which could become a meitzi, that would take precedence over the cheesecake. You get it? Mm-hmm. The wheat cheesecake is secondary to the oatmeal thing, which could become a meitzi. Oatmeal cookie, oatmeal muffin, which with its mezenis, but it could become a meitzi if you eat a lot of it, etc. All right. Let's now go to
oatmeal crackers.
Oatmeal crackers, yeah, it's baked. It's baked. So that goes before a noodles made out of wheat. Okay. Fruits in general. If you like the fruits more than you like cookies, does make a difference. You still make a bracha on mezenis before fruits. And even if you have fruits from Israel, and the you still make a bracha on the mezenis first. What if you have granola bars? Granola bars made out of wheat. Granola bars made out of barley. So it's not considered, since granola is hadama, according to some opinions, so it doesn't have the status of mezenis. So even though it's made out of wheat, Eretz Yisrael is not praised with granola. Eretz Yisrael is praised with baked goods or cooked goods that come from wheat, but not from whole, raw, unground wheat. And therefore, you would for sure make a bracha on a grape before you make a bracha on a granola, even though granola is from wheat and whatever. And we said mezenis comes first. Mezenis comes first, yes, but not something which is not mezenis. But if you have a choice of mezenis and fruits from Eretz Yisrael, maga eish is a general rule. Mezenis hagafan ha'eid tzadam shahakal. First make a bracha mezenis, then you make a bracha on hagaf and then ha'eid. So for sure, you have two things: a cookie and a grape. What bracha you say first? A cookie. Okay. There's an exception to this rule, mezenis and ha'eid. There's a case where ha'eid goes before mezenis. When is that? What?
Grapes.
No, not grapes. If you have, not an esrog. Anybody know? Is that interesting halacha? An example of when you would say eitz before you would say mezenis. If you have an oatmeal cookie, an oatmeal muffin, and you have an olive, olives go before the oatmeal. Olives go before the barley, but not before wheat. Why?
Do you have to cover the?
Hold on. Why is that? Because the Torah, when it says the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, the Torah says a land of Eretz Chita Se'era Gefen Teine Rima in Eretz Zeisem Shemen Dvash. The Torah says the word Eretz twice. Then it lists 5 things. Then it says Eretz again, the land of wheat and barley, etc. Then it says the land of olives and dates, honey was made from dates. So the way the order of the importance of the 7 species of Eretz Yisrael is decided is by which thing is closer to the word land. So the closest thing to the word land is wheat. Second closest is barley. And then it goes into the other fruits. And they go way before the olives and way before the dates. However, since the olives are right next to the second word, land, the land of olives, therefore olives have a precedence over barley and all other kinds of wheat. So if you have an oatmeal cookie and you have a grape, a olive, you make a bracha on olive before you make a bracha on the oatmeal cookie.
How about bash?
The order of within the fruits of Eretz Yisrael itself, the order is olives, dates, grapes, figs, and pomegranates. Again, olives, dates, grapes, figs, and pomegranates. That's the order of the fruits in Eretz Yisrael. That's the order of those fruits. If you like the fruits later on,
You brought an example of oatmeal. It would apply to spelt
and barley,
and to barley.
the olives go first. Olives go first.
And
Right.
Not before wheat.
Not before wheat, because the wheat says it first in the pasuk.
Right.
Okay.
So you don't have to cover the matzah. Today it's possible for people that spelt gluten-free oats, bread or matzah for hamaitzi. So it's gluten-free. We'll have something that's
Gluten-free oat
so
matzah.
when you make hagafen by kiddush, you don't have to cover it. It doesn't have a bracha before. The wine, a wine is not first. Only olive is first.
Right. Very good. Interesting. Okay. What if you like pomegranates more than you like grapes? And pomegranates is the last thing of Eretz Yisrael. So what should you make a bracha on first? The answer is you have the option to make whichever bracha you want. If you like the pomegranates more than you like grapes, you can say a bracha on the pomegranates. What if you have apples that you like apples more than you like grapes? If you like apples more than grapes, anybody know? I want to guess. Apples more than grapes. What bracha should you say first? What bracha should you say it on? You should say bracha on the apples or on the grapes. If you, you're right that you have permission. You don't have to say bracha on the apples. You could, and unless the apples are cut in half. If the apples are cut in half, then you have to make a bracha on the whole grape before the half an apple. So again, if you like apples more than grapes, make a bracha on whatever you want. However, if the apples are cut up and the grapes are whole, then you have to make a bracha on the whole grape. What if you have, in general, we said the order is maka eish, and Adam is before, eitz is for Adama, but there's an exception. Eitz is not always for Adam. What if you love your fried potatoes and onions, and together with your fried potatoes and onions, you have grapes? You don't like the grapes as much as you like the fried potatoes. So the halacha is, it's not so simple. If the grapes are cut in half, so then it's not that simple. Then you make a bracha on the potatoes. If you like the hadama more than you like the eitz, hadama goes first. The general eitz is for hadama. It's not halach. It's better. The language of the Alter Rebbe is it's better. Really, eitz could still go before hadama halachically. But he said, just like the example we said before about the wheat and the barley, eat them together. It's better to do that. So also over here, if you like the hadama more than you like the eitz, you're allowed to say a bracha on the potatoes first, unless the potatoes are cut up and the grapes are whole. Then it doesn't matter what you like better. Then the grapes have to go first. But if they're both cut up or they're both whole, then it's better to say a bracha on the hadama that you like more than saying a bracha on the thing that you like less, although it's officially more important to grape. Okay. All fruits. Okay. All fruits, you make a bracha on the whole fruit. If they're all whole, then you make a bracha on what you like more. So only ask when you like more about fruits after you determine if they're all whole. The first thing you make a bracha on you're looking for in fruits is which one is whole. Unless 1 second, hold on a second. Yehudi Halskop. We said a half a grape before a whole apple. What goes first? We said before, you remember? We said fruits are Yisrael, even if they're cut in half, they go before the whole fruits of outside Yisrael, unless you like one better. A half a grape goes before a whole apple, unless you like the apples more. Okay. Now, next subject. We're almost done. With shahakol, doesn't matter what you like more. With shahakol, it's always going to be the last bracha you say. Okay. With, let's say you have wine and you have fruits from Eretz Yisrael, what should you say bracha on first? What do we say? No? Maga Eish, what should go first? Wine and grapes.
Wine and grapes? Wine.
Make a bracha agafa.
Yeah.
But barley and oatmeal and spelt, they don't go before wine. Even though we say wine goes first, that's only what's it? Yeah, we talked about this before, right? We talked about this before.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? We're talking about baked items and wine? Yes, baked items and wine. Oatmeal and wine. Yeah. The Torah says wheat and barley, and then it says wine later on in the pasuk. But so wheat goes before wine. However, if it's a baked item made out of, we said this before, a baked item made out of oatmeal, it goes after the wine. The wine goes before the
That's all you pointed out.
That's what I was saying, right?
right. Sorry, thank you.
That's what I didn't.
I just went somewhere. I came back. Thank
I
you.
thought it was only zaysim. Now you're saying it's also wine. Before we were talking about
Before you were
zaysim.
saying grapes.
Before we're talking about olives.
No, it's like olive.
Before we're talking about olives.
The grapes was later.
No, it's olive.
Not the yain.
It's olive, it's zaysim.
Right, but he was talking about the grapes was later.
Right, so.
Not the
so
wine,
we
now he's
said-
talking
so
about
we
wine.
said- we said since the grapes was later.
But that's
the
not
grape
wine.
doesn't come before.
Before
Now we say.
Wine
yeah,
is
I don't
different.
get that. Wine comes
Not
before.
grapes, you're not saying grapes.
so-
no,
I
talking
pointed
about
out.
wine.
So what I pointed out, that you
Wine,
don't
not
cover,
grapes.
if you have a spelt challah, spelt matzah or oats,
Right.
you technically don't have to cover it for mitzad the town. I don't
The
know.
wine.
The official reason why you
The
cover
special
it,
reason why you cover it is because of the brachas.
Right.
the bracha of
Kodesh Hashem.
you don't embarrass the oatmeal because the oatmeal goes first and the bracha
The
goes
oatmeal
first.
doesn't go first.
But here we're saying no, oatmeal doesn't go first. The wine goes first.
So if you make a kiddush on takem, that you don't have to cover it.
Very interesting. Very
You have other
interesting.
reasons we cover it because of the mud, let's cover it.
Okay, fantastic. I mean,
But that's what-
everything in Judaism has many layers. So I'm sure there's many other reasons why you cover it that are not the official reason that. Okay, we're almost done. Can we do a couple more things? No one's arguing. We'll go further. Okay. Just a recap of what we did so far, to put things, to categorize things. One more thing before we categorize things. Wine and other drinks, wine goes first. But if you like other drinks more, it's not so simple. Some people say that the bracha should be on the other. You have soda, of course, like Coca-Cola, more than like wine. So the halacha is it's not so simple, and there are those that say you could say shahakal first before making the bracha on the wine. Okay, here are the
Assuming you're drinking bottle, you're about to drink bottle,
right. You still there are those that say if you like the Coca-Cola more, you could make a bracha on the Coke before the wine. The bracha is in Me'al anyways. Okay, all right. Now, recap of all the items that we said that are optional, and just because you like one more, we said there are a couple of things. If you like the one more, you know how halacha goes first. You can do whatever you want first. Here are the items we said before already that you like one better than the other, and the halacha is it stays as you can do whatever you want. So if there is a bread made out of spelt and a bread made out of wheat, and you like the bread made out of spelt, there's no halacha. Do whatever you want. If there are fruits that are not from Eretz Yisrael, that you like them more, we said the apples, right? You like the apples more than you like the grapes, do whatever you want. Among the fruits of Eretz Yisrael also, if you like the pomegranates better than you like the grapes, do whatever you want. Okay, now, there are scenarios we said also before that even if you don't like this particular food, it always has to go first. What has to always go first? Hametz has to always go before Mazenis. Mazenis has to go before all the other brachas, and except for the scenarios we said before. And a whole fruit goes before a half a fruit. Even though the half fruit is more precious, you have to say a bracha on the whole fruit instead of saying a bracha on the half fruit that you like more. You like cherries more than you like apples, but the cherries are cut. You have to say a bracha on the apple. Fruit from Eretz Yisrael have to go before the whole fruits of outside Eretz Yisrael if you like them. A fruit from Eretz Yisrael, which is cut in half, goes before a whole fruit from outside Eretz Yisrael if you like them the same. Okay, wine goes before the bracha of olives. Wine goes before the bracha of olives, right? So, which I tell you the scenario which I mentioned before, which you can.
The scenario mentioned before was olives and grapes.
Okay,
Now
so
you're talking about wine.
yeah, so wine goes before olives. So here
Olive would be before grape, not before wine.
So here's just a impossible scenario. Let's say you have an oatmeal cookie, you have wine, and you have olives. Oatmeal cookie, wine, and olives. What should go first? So we said olives go before the oatmeal cookie, right?
Yeah,
But because on the other hand, olives don't go before wine, right? Olives don't go before wine. Wine goes.
Olive does not go before wine.
Right. It says maga eish, right? That got before eight.
Right.
And wine goes before olives, but wine does not go before.
Does that?
Wine
Isn't
on.
that what we said before? We said it's only wheat, not oats and stuff.
Wine does not go before. We said before. Wine does go before
Oats
and other things. Yeah.
right.
So
Except for wheat and barley.
It's a very impossible situation.
we're saying wine goes before olives. He said it doesn't go before a baked. He says it clear over here. Is that a mistake? Wine goes before olives, but not before a baked item out of barley or out of oatmeal. But
Does it say oatmeal?
doesn't say it says barley.
Does it say barley, wheat,
Right,
yes.
yeah,
No, barley, wheat, you said yes.
No.
Oat,
Oat.
rye, and whatever that
It's
other one
spelled.
is, no.
Oats where it's spelled is later in the pasuk.
Oh, good. I made a mistake. Thank you. Very good. Barley dafka. Very good.
So barley.
Very good. It's kind of hard. You don't need any abscess. You're on the ball, man. Yeah. So if you have an example of oatmeal, wouldn't be a problem. But if you have a barley thing made, if you have a barley cookie, and you have wine and you have olives, so the wine goes before the olives, but not before the barley cookie, and the barley cookie goes before the wine, but not before the olives.
Who makes barley cookies?
Go to Los Angeles.
Oatmeal cookies.
It's the next.
Yeah.
So
The next big thing.
so he says, if you like more the barley cookie, then for sure you can make a bracha on mazenis because.
Right.
Right.
Barley goes with the wheat.
But if not, he says better get some other wheat cookie and then you can make a bracha on that before the olive. Okay, and then make a bracha on the wine, then make a bracha on the olive. Okay, we were talking the whole time about foods like better. What's considered liking better? Let's say you're now in the mood of this and usually in the mood of that. So halacha is that that in a scenario where that they both are considered chaviv, whether you like it most of the time or you like it some of the time, they're both considered chaviv. What if you have two items now, and one you like more in general, and now you like this one more? So halacha is you could do whatever you want. If you have two items in front of you, and you usually like chocolate more than you like I don't know. Usually you like chocolate more than you like candy. And right now you want to have candy. So and now it's a chaviv. The Talmud says you do whatever you want. And it's this is right now is a chaviv, you can do whatever you want. Because in general, the chocolate's more chaviv. Okay. In shahakol things also, let's say you have two things that shahakol, this scenario just gave you, with you have a whole piece of chocolate and you have a piece of a candy. Rabbi Yitzchak, you have a whole piece of chocolate and you have a piece of a candy. What do you do? A whole piece of chocolate and a piece of a candy. So even though you like better, let's say, and forget the details I said before. You always like chocolate candy. You only like candy. You hate chocolate, but you have a piece of candy and a whole piece of chocolate. What do? Chocolate, bracha on the chocolate.
You really hate chocolate?
So if a kid wants a chocolate bar,
You hate the
give him
chocolate,
whole
but because healthy. I know the Rebbe told some people to carry chocolate all the time. It's good for the heart. Anyways,
If a
so
kid wants a chocolate bar, you give him the whole thing because
okay, an important thing in all these scenarios we said before, if you went out of order, the bracha still works. But in some scenarios, the bracha will not work. If you made a bracha on something which is less important, it will, and you did not have in mind a more important thing, it won't automatically be included. Make a bracha on something which is more important, and you didn't have in mind the lesser important thing, it will still be included. The Rabbi Zalman Shimon said that all chocolate covered things are shahak. That's what Zalman Shimon said. Okay.
Grapes, huh?
That's what Zalman Shimon said. All chocolate covered things, main thing is the
The main thing
chocolate.
is a candy.
Could be generations change. Could be people more sophisticated. I don't know. Anyways, last thing. Last thing.
That's right. Yeah.
What about
Oh, I didn't say this before. If you have a donut, a whole donut and a half a donut, and you like the half a donut because the half donut is custard and the whole donut is jelly, you make a bracha on. No, the whole jelly donut, the whole time. Okay, now.
That's actually the first thing you said.
That all in all scenarios, this thing that whole goes before like. Yeah. Okay. Last thing is this. Shechiyanu, the halacha is when you just last thing. If it's shechiyanu and you have and you have to say eight, shechiyanu and eight. What do you say first? Halacha is shechiyanu goes before eight. What if we said eight? Oh, I should have said shechiyanu. Say shechiyanu.
If you didn't eat the fruit,
you have a fruit.
I'm sorry. What are you saying?
You have a fruit.
You have a fruit.
A new fruit.
Shechiyanu fruit.
A shachianu fruit.
And another fruit, an apple that you
No. You only have a shachianu fruit. What bracha do you say first? Ha'etz or shachianu?
Okay, thank you.
So you say shachianu before ha'etz, but if you realize after you said ha'etz, you didn't say shachianu, it's not considered b'diavad a hefsek, and you can say ha'shachianu after ha'etz.
and also
Does Shechianu become first?
the white challah and
Oh, the reason is, there's many reasons. One reason why shachianu goes before ha'etz is because you could say shachianu for seeing the fruit also. Since you can say shachianu for seeing the fruit, so therefore shachianu could also be just because you saw the fruit. Therefore, that's why shachianu goes before eating.
I heard a few times that the Rebbe was saying to say Shechianu second.
Recently, some people told me that the Rebbe was named to say shachianu after eitz.
Maybe because he saw it already.
But I don't know for sure what the story is exactly. Eitz before shachianu, right? That's I heard recently. Yeah.
What do you do in Rosh Hashanah?
white challah and the whole wheat challah.
So I'm telling you, nowadays they consider whole wheat to be more important. So whole wheat considered better.
Are we changing saying Shechiyanu
I heard
based on tonight's class?
I heard because it's more chashuv, the white.
I grew up the other way.
It's more chashuv, no?
Well, it's not Shechiyanu.
The question is, what is if something Rebbe does barabim in public, that's a lesson for everybody. Does privately, not necessarily is lesson for everybody. So I'm not sure if there someone did tell me there's a table that make a bracha eitz then shechiyanu, but it could be I don't know. What was last about the white is more chashuv.
Yeah, more chashuv than
You like it better?
No,
Sounds like you like it better. Doesn't it sound like he likes it better? You like it better. You Shmuel, knock yourself out. Have the white one, man.
I like the whole wheat.
Okay, then make the whole rock and the whole wheat. That's it. You decide. You like the whole wheat better. That's it.
The bread you're talking about from the 12 is mamish, it's akashel achol.
Yeah.